All right, we are ready and we are going.
Well, I don't know that I'm ready, but I'm here.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We have the only Mike Moffat. You have reached the shitter stream. The shit stream? And we got some questions from you guys that we're going to launch in Mike's direction and kind of see where we end up. So to kick things off, I think there were a ton of questions that came in about your flagship multi-bit DAC called the Yggdrasil. Do you have kind of any general updates going for that right now?
Well, there's sort of updates going for everything in the background and things that we try. And it's, we're always working on everything. We have nothing scheduled on Yggdrasil other than some other flavors of analog boards that'll be coming out in the not too distant future. But in terms of coming out with a newer Yggdrasil, it's hard to beat as far as I'm concerned. And, I've got some ideas that, we could put in some convenience features, but that's not happening in the near future. And it's just kind of constantly going in the background and building these. We build things all the time. We try them. Some of them are awful. Some of them are good ideas. We just
never had a bad idea.
some of them aren't. Yeah, it's amazing. So that's what we do. There's no imminent Iggy that's new. If there is a new Iggy, it's way down the road after a number of other things that need to get done, such as the last details on the transport and so on.
How did you arrive at 21-bit resolution for Yggdrasil? If you use one 20-bit DAC chip per channel and simply feed them inverse signals to be differential, don't you just double the amplitude of the second 20 possible levels rather than achieving the second 21st possible levels?
Well, yeah. It's in several engineering textbooks, and one that comes to mind is Mulder-Rate digital signal processing, and why splitting digital signal into two phases in the digital domain, and rather than using two 20-bit DACs to give you 40 bits, you get 21, because that's the way it works. So I refer you to Rabiner's book on that subject.
All right, we're going to make it a little bit more simpler on the Yggdrasil terms here. Okay, so what is your opinion on the value or practicality of a two-chassis design with power supply in a separate box? So everybody kind of knows that one a little bit more.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I don't know that I'd want to build one. I don't even know that I'd want to install one. What I would prefer to do is to build a single box unit that works as well as a two box unit, because two box units are a pain in the ass.
Yeah. What's your opinion on tube DACs? Have you ever considered one in the shit lineup?
Well, I like tubes. I'm a fan of tubes. I don't know if I want to put hundreds and hundreds of volts in a power supply next to a bunch of digital chips, and then it then requires maintenance. And if it were just the tubes as in a tube amplifier, you maintain it. But if you've got all this other digital stuff and opening this box that's worth a lot of money and has some very exotic parts in it, it's kind of like a plane that crashes. The Rand Corporation did a study on why F-14s crash, and it was too much maintenance. Tubes are maintenance.
I don't disagree there. The next question is: do you like to implement steep filters in shit DACs? What is your philosophy behind that, and why do you feel it is superior?
Well,
maybe you could help by defining what do you consider a steep filter?
In terms of dBs per octave, any fur filter is, unless it's very simple and, a couple taps or something, is very steep. And that's what you get with, in particular, time domain optimized filters. And we're time domain optimized, so we're kind of stuck with steep on it. But it's not even really being stuck. It works.
Yeah.
And it helps getting rid of out-of-band things.
Is it possible there can be a digital technology in the future that will sound better than the best R2R implementations? How can that be achieved, in your opinion?
I don't know. All we can do is build things and try and see if they're really good or if they're wet dreams.
Okay. On the last one for this section, do you have any opinions on the chord M scaler? It has 1 million taps, and the PMW stuff chord uses. Differences between the Schiit DAX or the chord M scaler?
Well, the chord things, they do things the way they do them, and I do things the way I do them, and I do it to please me. I would always be interested in building a better DAC, but I don't know exactly how an M scaler works based on what I've read, and competition is necessary, and I just have no idea and can't comment on their products because they don't disclose what they're doing, nor even if they did, it would satisfy a curiosity, but it wouldn't influence my overall design philosophy.
Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the transport. There's
Sure.
a lot of excitement about this new CD transport. Generally speaking, do you have any new details about it that you can share in terms
Well,
of...
I think most of the design details have now been shared or out in the open.
Yeah, Mike, this is Jason, by the way. I'm just kind of watching from a distance. I think that we've been vague on some of them, but people know, I think, that it's more than a transport. And they know it's called ERD, which is, its own kind of joke. But like I said, TRD, Toyota Racing Development, TRD does well, so I'm not really worried about it being a shit ERD.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, I think we've been vague on its other features.
Yeah, I have to, I'm just sort of back here very recently. My shirt, I'm still here, #survivor. I've been fairly sick. And I've been a little bit out of the loop, and I wasn't sure what was disclosed and what wasn't. So thanks, Jason. But let me describe the transport to you, because while it was being developed, which was really over a year ago, we were definitely the first people and the only people doing this, and it's going to take a while, I think, for other people to catch up with us. But what it is, get the idea of having a transport. It's a transport. It does that. It plays CDs. CDs only. It does not play DVDs, anything else. CDs only. It, like most higher quality CD transports, has a SPDIF out. And it also has a USB out, which is sort of like a backwards unison. It's a unison transmitter. And one of the best things that I think we've ever done has been the unison USB receiver. It makes a huge difference in anything. And the USB transmitter is just as important to close the loop. It's amazing. And, I've been, when we started out here at Schiit 10 years ago, I couldn't believe exactly how much that USB sounded like ass. And we are now to the point where USB sounds way better than SPDIF and coax or TOS or whatever. And in fact, it's even up there with some special exotic interfaces I made that was years ago. So it's the best I've ever heard a CD do. So that sounds good. Really sounds good for transport. And then we have some digital inputs. And I'm sorry, some let me give that to you again. Cancel that, some USB inputs, so that you can hook up your streamer and change your input from your CD to your streamer or whatever other USB input you have, and then you can compare them.
I was going to say, speaking of unique devices, can you talk a little bit about the gadget?
Oh, the gadget. Yeah, that's done. We just need to get it into a faster processor so we can get it running well all the way up to 192K. The transport is what's taking most of the attention right now to make sure that we're compatible with everybody's USB. That's, as I say, I'm not a multitasker. I don't do that well. You know, one in, one out. Okay, so let me get the transport out. Let me get a couple other things that we're trying out, and we'll go from there.
All right, so I got to read this one off the card here because it's a bit crazy. True multi-bit's big draw is that the digital filter retains original samples. What does the reverse combo burrito filter do in the gain system? In what way does it generate samples differently from other DAG, or not DAG, but analog to digital converter?
Well, it's still a time domain optimize. It runs decimation, which means getting down from a higher sampling rate to a lower, rather than interpolation, which means from going up to a lower towards higher. I don't want to sit here and get all techie, but it's basically the closest thing you can do to a true mirror image of a combo burrito filter.
Okay. What do you kind of feel is the next thing for multi-bit? Is the DSP chip still the bottleneck?
No, the number of how complicated we make the filter is the bottom of the bottom line. We can make the filters bigger and bigger and bigger, but then the performance gets down below the level of a 16, 18, or even 24-bit system, as if the rest of a 24-bit system could exist anyway.
I got to do this though. But hey, Mike, we have 32-bit DACs now. At least it says on the data sheet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Couldn't resist.
I have some prime real estate in South Florida. Okay.
So, speaking of Jason, next question says, Jason once mentioned that the golden age of true multi-bit is ahead of us. Could you give us a sneak peek of what we may expect from true multi-bit in 2021?
Well, there are different DACs around, and many of them are in some way better, but in other ways not better. They may be harder to market, or there's going to be better products. I just need more time to be able to get them done. And by multi-bit, the golden age, one of the things we have to do is I've always been very prejudiced against multi-bit or 1-bit or reduced bit DACs. Okay, sigma delta DACs. And one of the things that we're just beginning to do is mess around with that technology and build our own, but not build a sort of a half-assed chip that you can buy for $2.85, but make a real one. Now, we don't really know much about that yet because we haven't done it, okay? But we're learning more every hour. And I don't know whether I can make the Delta Sigma better or not. It could be another huge, but at least then I'll know. But we're never going to find out if we don't try it. And that's what we're all about doing, is just trying stuff. And let me tell you, the best way to succeed is by having some really colossal screw-ups in your background, which I do. And if you have the proper judgment to know that it's bad, it enables you to pick out what's really good. And that's what I want to be about, because I'm not getting any younger. I'm still here. I'm going to be here for a while now. It's fun. And in all my companies that I started, that I found out that if people have fun, they do better. And the last thing I want shit to be is one of these companies where people get on you get on the freeway and you see somebody next to you that's going, oh, fuck, you can tell he hates his job. He's driving to some job he hates. And I think for the most part, we got a lot of, we got problems. Right now, we're back ordered everywhere. Okay, we got problems, but we have fun. And everybody really kind of likes each other, because if you don't get along with our odd lot of people, you just won't stay. And our people are an odd lot. Okay, so I have fun. I'm going to have fun. I want our people to have fun. And here's my last little comment. A friend of mine, his wife used to work for the county of Los Angeles, and she was in charge of administering retirement checks. And the average number of checks that an LA County retiree got before he died was 14. So he works at a job he hates his whole life, and he gets 14 retirement checks. And you know what? At Schiit, we're not about that. And, it's a blessing. So anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to philosophize, but we want our users to have that much fun too. And if you're one of those tight ass that,
when they get their products, you mean?
Yeah.
We're working on that. For anyone's listening, we're working on that. It'll take a little while. We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that's all I have. So have fun with our stuff. And if you can't have fun with our stuff, then go buy somebody else's stuff.
It's more. There's actually quite a few questions about remotes. Would you add a remote? Would you put phase in the remote? These type of things. Any plans? Can you show off the remote from the upcoming transport? Buttons. Any updates on the remotes?
Remotes. We're adding them in. A lot of most new products. The transport Relax has a remote. Okay, it really does. Glory, hallelujah.
There is a God.
Yes.
Okay.
So, anyway, yes.
This question is a bit more general. So, I kind of like this question. Could you elaborate on your preference to develop a digital hardware platform or the engine that drives it first?
Could you give me that again?
What is your do you when you build something for a digital product? Do you build the hardware platform or the engine that drives it first, simultaneously?
Well, pretty much the engine that the engine that drives it is DSP. Whether it's a DSP processor like we use or whether it's FPGAs like other people use, okay, like some other people use. So that's kind of first if there's a digital filter involved or some sort of digital manipulation of the audio. Then we build, well, what kind of box is it? What kind of sockets are on it? What are the inputs? What are the outputs? And then we add the stuff around it. Okay. But almost all the engineering is done on the engine. That was all done really back in the 80s. Okay. There's new processors, so we have to relay out boards and things like that. But the basic engineering and how it works, we have the least trouble with because we've been doing it for 40 years. Yeah. 35 years. Yeah. So that's easy.
What are your thoughts on external clocking? Would you ever consider creating a deck that had an external master clock?
There was a turntable that had a vacuum pump that sounded like a pool motor that made it so that you couldn't hear your records because the motor was so loud. Now, in high frequency design in general, it's long runs are not good. So an external clock, unless you have something with a shitty clock, it's like, what do you need it for? And why don't you put the good clock in the thing to begin with? But I could miss something there.
The isolation doesn't really increase the performance of a clock in a separate case.
I suppose it could at some infinitesimal level, but then you got to put it on a wire. It's unless you're somebody that likes to complicate your system, I would think that if I can't do better than an external clock with an internal clock, then I need to reevaluate my skills as an engineer. But I've been doing this a while, So.
All right. So, what's your favorite album?
Ooh. Well, I listen to. I'm a Deadhead.
Do you have a favorite Dead song?
I like the songs that were written by Robert Hunter, in particular, on the American Beauty album, Ripple. Because he kind of kept them more honest on the being a tighter band, because they were so loaded much of the time that they just. But I really admire their versatility and their spirit. But anyway, and then I'm a big fan of opera, and not light Italian opera, usually German opera.
What's the difference between Italian and German?
Light Italian's more like he loves her, but he can't because she's tubercular, so she dies, and then love stories is like soap operas. And then German operas are very serious, and I hate to say it, but they're self-absorbed, but I love them. Maybe I'm self-absorbed. But I love Wagner. Not to the point where I go crazy over it, but I'm a big fan. Because Wagner was really the inventor of the film score. He didn't realize it. And his music is really complicated structurally and harmonically.
Didn't Philip K. Dick like Wagner as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I worked at a stereo store and I sold Phil, sold him a stereo system, and I went out there and we're sitting there playing it and the Ring, and it was all loud, and we were like just celebrating it. And Philip K. Dick was an amazing guy. People that knew him really well said he had a tendency for making people really at ease. And then he turned around to me and he said, when it was all over, "God, that makes me feel like goose stepping around the room." He was a character.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it was a different time, right?
That was 1975. Yeah. Yeah. But had an opportunity to meet him, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's funny in today's light, looking at the figures of the past is sometimes really terrifying. I mean, I know that the World Horror Awards, they took H.P. Lovecraft off of their award. Yeah, it's a more generic thing now. Hey, Lovecraft was very much more crazier than the statement you just made about Philip K. Dick. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. But there was a lot of alcohol being passed about the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was joking. Yeah. It was back when you could joke easier, so to speak. I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
What's your current 2-channel rig? What speakers do you have?
I have old quad electrostatic loudspeakers that were designed by Peter Walker in 1954. Who told me, because I had the opportunity to meet him, that he made them that ugly and that shape because they'd fit in the trunk of a Jaguar.
Mm-hmm. You've often been quoted as saying something sound like ass. In your opinion, what does ass sound like exactly?
All right, I'll say 2 cats fucking.
And the last question we have is it possible to buy a DAC with your autograph on it?
Oh yeah, I've done that, sure.
Anything you want to add at the end here before we close up, Mike?
Did we get through them all?
Wow,
that was well. I'm glad we did. Yeah, there's more stuff coming. There's always more stuff coming. Okay. What we've got out there now is the best we can do now. Okay, and that's with all our production stuff and everything else, and AKM factories burning down and that sort of thing. So shit happens. But for those of you that already have our stuff, I really appreciate it. And for those of you who haven't got it yet, give us a shot sometime. You might like it. And be happy with our stuff. Enjoy your music, because I'll tell you something. At my age, I really enjoy my music, and that's what this is about. I'm like a music pimp, and it's there's a certain sort of carousing there that is really wonderful, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. That's it.